Welcome everyone to the 23rd session of the Podium TED Talk series brought to you by Asiata Digital Labs. We are delighted to have you all with us as we embark on a journey into the realm of software development. Today's session will explore the topic of creating future-proof APIs for an integrated web and mobile experience. Our podium today is graced by three speakers who bring a wealth of knowledge and expertise to the discussion. Let me introduce you to our first speaker, Ravindu Lokumanna, a tech lead in software engineering with an MSc in computing from the UK and 14 years of experience in the tech industry. Next up, we have Navoda Sathsarani, a senior mobile engineer with a BSc Special Honors Information Technology, specialization software engineering, and 5 years experience in mobile developing. Joining the two speakers today is Dinuka Fernando, an Associate Tech Lead Software Engineering with a BSc Honours in Computer Science from the University College Dublin, Ireland, with 8+ years of experience in the front-end, back-end technologies. As we navigate through this enlightening session, we invite you to absorb the valuable insights our speakers have to offer. Without further ado, let me hand over the reins to our speakers today.
Ravindu, I think you are
Yeah.
muted.
Okay. I think I'm now audible, right? Okay. Right. Good afternoon, everyone. So today we are going to discuss about creating future-proof APIs for an integrated web and mobile experience. I'm Ravindu, and Dinuka and Navoda also be presenting today and explaining you about how we can create future-proof APIs to integrate with web and mobile. As an introduction, let's first talk about the definition of and the importance of the API in digital ecosystem. And again, we will little bit of discuss about the critical role of future-proof APIs for sustainability and growth. Also, for the today session's objectives and of the presentation and the key takeaways for the audience will be we'll be explaining thoroughly about the APIs and future-proof APIs. Also, we'll be talking about integrating APIs with PWAs, mobile applications, web applications, and also we'll be talking about AI and Gen AI, how we can use for these future-proof APIs. So if we first talk about what is an API, so as you can see in the screen, an API we'll call as described as application programming interface is like a messenger that allows different software systems to communicate with each other. So if you just have a look on the image in the below, there will be a simple explanation about how API works. Let's say there's a scenario, we have an application and we need to do a kind of a API request to a backend server from front-end application to a backend server. Application can be a mobile app, can be a web app, something like that. So API will be getting our request to the server and then will be giving a response to the front-end application itself. So that scenario you can simplify with the restaurant as well. If you're a customer of a restaurant, if you are going to order something, then you will be requesting something through the waiter. So waiter will be act as an API, which will pass your request to the backend service, which is the kitchen here, and kitchen will process your foods and give the processed foods back to the customer via API waiter. So that is how actual API also working. We, for example, if we get a request like let's say we are doing HTTP GET request, then from front end to back end, we are requesting something via API, and then the server process the data and everything, and it's going to give a response to the customer or the application through the API. So that is about the APIs. And also, when we talk about the future-proof APIs, then we have to talk about the critical role of future-proof APIs. So future-proof APIs refer to as we explained earlier, application program interfaces are designed to implemented in a way that anticipate and accommodate future changes and advancement and requirement in technology and business environment. So if we talk this in detail, if you can see the below points, we need to ensure and we need to think about the scalability, flexibility, interportability, security, adaptability, and longevity when we talk about future-proof APIs. Scalability means um, we have to design our APIs to handle. Sometimes our applications can be suddenly increase the volumes and the data, maybe the transactions as well. So without doing any significant changes to their underlying architecture, if we can cater those requirements, then our APIs are scalable. So scalability comes in playing a very crucial role when it comes to a future-proof APIs. Flexibility again is about simply as the text explains, it's about being able to change easily. So these APIs, let's say if we create API in a flexible term, so we have to build it in a way that it is simple to adjust them. Sometimes we know that business requirements might change and users need something different than what we have developed. So in maybe the new tech are coming along. So as of that kind of scenarios, um, if we can develop our APIs like building blocks, then you can simply rearrange. So you have to kind of have the flexibility as well. Interportability in the sense, interportability means that able to work well with lot of different systems and softwares. So let's say our APIs, the APIs we are going to design will follow the rules that everyone agrees on. For example, let's say it can talk and send and share data between different programs, applications, no matter what they have built with. And also um, security is super important. So APIs, if we are doing API development, we need to have strong protections keep in place, most importantly for sensitive information like passwords, permissions, and like PI data. So those things we have to have some kind of encryption or any other to have security mechanisms like authentication, authorization, those kind of mechanism to protect our APIs from accessing someone else uh, or a third party. So adaptability again, it's also, as the word says, it's about being able to change along with new tech trends. Let's say we have developed some APIs there, and these APIs, if we can like easily integrate with cloud computing services and maybe smart devices, maybe AI services, machine learning services. So those kind of things, we have to have kind of adaptability as well. It's a kind of a factor when we think about developing future-proof APIs. And the longevity in the final sense, so means lasting a long term. Our APIs will last a long time without needing a lot of fixes. That means that the APIs we develop will stick around and they will keep working well without having issues. Even like, let's say time goes on, tech changes. So it should be kind of smart and it should be something that support the future techs as well. So we have to think about that aspect as well. So overall, future-proof APIs are kind of key to stay like creative and competitive. And today's digital world is like very fast paced. So you if you are thinking about these factors, your organizations and even the developers or any other uh, people who is like joined and doing like the integrations or something like this with the APIs will have the benefit uh, from these kind, if we consider these kind of critical factors when it comes to the future proofs APIs. So we talk about the importance about what kind of things we have to have in the future proof APIs. Then next we will talk a little bit about what type of APIs we can use. So for the future, normally we will talk about RESTful APIs, GraphQL, gRPC, WebSocket, serverless APIs. We will talk in detail in the next slides. Also, when it comes to backward compatibility and API versioning, what kind of strategies and what kind of things we have to do with the APIs. Also, as mentioned in the earlier slide, security essentials. So authentication, authorization, also the encryption part we have talked about. So we will talk in detail about that as well. Also, the use of AI for API development. So I think throughout the session, from the different speakers, you will have a lot of information about these things as well. But let me talk a bit about the REST APIs and GraphQL first. So basically, you can see here, I have kind of put a picture here. You can see this is a REST API. This is a GraphQL query. So let's little bit of talk about this scenario. So you can see in this REST API scenario, we are retrieving user information with a specific ID, and a client sends a GET request to send the user's ID endpoint. So basically what will happen in the server will process the request, retrieve the user data from the database based on the provided ID, and returns the response body. This approach is the most common approach we are using, following the RESTful principles of resource-based architecture and stateless communications over HTTP. And the advantages about REST APIs, if we talk about REST APIs, are following um, straightforward, resource-oriented approach, making them easily to understand and implement. And also, REST APIs are really compatible with HTTP methods and status as well, ensuring the compatibility with existing web infrastructure and tools. Also, when it comes to caching, like it's a very good factor when we considering developing APIs. So even caching is really supported by RESTful APIs, caching mechanisms to improve performance and scalability by the reducing server load. But there are some disadvantages as well using REST APIs. So sometimes we are using REST APIs, we are overfetching or underfetching the data. So for example, maybe we need only users few information, but we request the user here from the user ID, but we are going to receive all the information about the user, but we only need the name, but we receive a lot of information about them. So overfetching will be happening. Also underfetching, underfetching means that you have to sometimes do multiple like this, multiple requests to the rest, like multiple endpoints to get whatever the information that you want. So that will be kind of a underfetch. So also there's a limited flexibility when it comes to RESTful APIs. They have fixed schema and fixed endpoints. We have like limiting the flexibility in data retrieval and query customization. But when it comes to scenario in the GraphQL, you can see here. So GraphQL scenario, we just query specifying what are the fields that we need in the, not from not like this one, we only need the user's name, and also we are getting only the needed information, post ID and the comment ID. So you can just query, specify and decide field and their relationships using GraphQL. Then the GraphQL server process the query, retrieves the requested data from underlying data sources. So it will return as a JSON response containing precisely the data specified in the query, only name, post ID, and comment ID. So this approach offers actually lot of flexibility and efficiency, as client can request nested data in a single query without doing multiple requests. So we can avoid overfetching and underfetching here. So the advantages using GraphQL will be, again, flexible queries client can easily request, and then efficiency. GraphQL APIs will reduce the network overhead as well, because by fetching only a single request, we don't need to go for a multiple request there. So we can reduce that as well. So also, GraphQL schemas enforce strong typing, providing a clear contract between the client and server. Also, just like REST APIs, we are having some kind of disadvantages using GraphQL as well. So, for example, for someone to get into GraphQL, like get to know it, like the learning curve will be little bit of difficult. Like you have to know about the client side and the server side of the queries, and also you have to know the GraphQL query language, schema definitions. So the learning curve might be little bit difficult than the straightforward REST APIs we have talked about. Also, sometimes when we are implementing some kind of complex queries, it can be little bit of complex uh, about handling and doing query optimizations. Also, there is a caching challenge. So sometimes it has limited support compared to the RESTful APIs we talked. The RESTful APIs are supporting caching out of the box, but it will be a little bit of difficult to have caching also. So in summary, here, RESTful APIs offer, we can see it's simple and it's compatible. Also, GraphQL APIs provide flexibility and efficiency in a data retrieval. And the choice between them factors as project requirements and data retrieval patterns and sometimes developer preferences. But when we talk about future, when you develop application or when we develop API with a GraphQL kind of a way with a single endpoint, then the things we have talked earlier, the flexibility and adaptability, those things can be achieved using GraphQL APIs. So the next one will be we talked about earlier as well. We'll be talking about gRPC, WebSockets, and serverless APIs. So gRPC is a high performance RPC. RPC means remote procedure call framework developed by Google. gRPC uses a protocol buffers as it interface with the structure of the messages and exchange between client to the servers. Also, gRPC is using HTTP2 underlying transport protocol. So that because of that, we are having we are getting a feature such as multiplexed streams, header compression, server push like features. And also, gRPC supports bidirectional streaming, allowing clients and servers to send and receive multiple messages asynchronously over a single connection. So let's get a small example. So let's say we have a kind of a scenario, we need to process some payment and get the payment response and details updated in a real time kind of a thing. So with gRPC, we can create a connection between the server from the payment service to the application. So front end will be send a request to the gRPC service in the payment server, and the request contains maybe it contains the details of transaction, including payment information, total amount, those kind of thing. And the response will be giving the gRPC service process, and the response will be given with the payment transaction confirmation or error response, something like that. So this using gRPC, we can improve the transactions efficiently, and also we can secure as well. Also, when we talk about WebSocket, I think we can see most of the time when we use chat applications and everything, we can see some of like live streaming parts. We can see how WebSocket is enabling the real-time bi-directional communication between client and server. So like unlikely the gRPC, WebSocket is full duplex. So full duplex means it has the ability of a communication system to send and receive data simultaneously. In the context of web sockets, it means that both the client and the server can send messages to each other same time over a single persistent connection. So bidirectional communication between client and servers, allowing both parties to send and receive messages asynchronously. So also WebSocket support message-based communication model where messages can be sent and received anytime without waiting for a response. This is going to be real time. So you'll be whatever, for example, not just chat. If we need kind of a real time order tracking in an e-commerce site also, we can have it. So after maybe placing a successful order, we can see when something happens into the backend process and maybe in the backend the statuses are changed. It will be real time updated to the user uh, using the WebSocket connection. So in summary, um, between the gRPC and WebSockets, we can say gRPC is primarily used for RPC style communication because between backend services, while WebSocket is commonly used for real-time bidirectional communication in web application like chat applications and the other things we have discussed. Again, I think when we are talking about future APIs, it's really important to talk about serverless APIs as well. So time to time, I know a lot of developers and a lot of projects that we also doing, organizations are going for the serverless APIs as well. Serverless APIs means there are backend, um, these APIs have a backend infrastructure that is actually managed by the cloud provider. So developers or DevOps don't need to manage the servers. We can have the APIs hosted and in the backend infrastructure managed by the cloud provider. So the main example we use today is the AWS Lambda. Lambda is again a popular service. You can subscribe to Lambda using AWS console, and then you can just upload your code. I think Lambda supports Node.js, Python, Java, like most languages where we are working, and Lambda automatically runs the code in response to a kind of a trigger. So maybe we can, if the requirement is kind of a simple one, maybe let's say we need to send an email notification when the order status is changed. So we don't need to we can create a small function, cloud function there, and trigger that Lambda function and that serverless API, and we can get it done. And also, as you can see, Firebase also offering similar services. Uh, you can say when it comes to mobile and mainly mobile development, mobile also web application development. So they have various services that we talk about the serverless APIs. We can use their Firestore NoSQL database service. We can use their authentication methods. They also have cloud functions, something like that. Also, when we talk about serverless APIs, we have to talk a little bit of the other services that we can use as well. Um, for example, API gateway. So when we talk about AWS Lambda, we normally use AWS API gateway. So API gateways enable developers to kind of create, push, and maintain, monitor their APIs. Also, the security you can manage using the API gateway. So you don't need to develop your authentication mechanisms or like do everything by yourself, but you can kind of configure your API gateway to secure and restrict some resources and some endpoints, so on. And also, when we are talking about AWS, there's another service called AWS DynamoDB, where it will be really going with the cloud functions like Lambda. So basically, we can use with serverless API if we need to like store and retrieve data in between the cloud function. We can easily use AWS DynamoDB like a service to, so then we can create simple CRUD applications, so on with that as well. So also there are certain things we have to consider. We in that slide also we talked about, we'll be talking about the API versioning, backward compatibility, and these things. So basically, if we talk about the strategies for API versioning, when we are creating APIs, I think it's important to plan how to update them without like causing problems to users. So one way is to add a kind of a version number, right? So I think most of us are doing that. So API versioning is really important because let's say if you have the version 1 of application, if it is a mobile application or web application, and then you are developing another application called version 2. So you need to migrate to version 2, but still you want to have still you don't want the users who is working with application version 1 to have any issue or problem. So in that case, if you have a version API, if you already used API versioning, it's really simple. That what you have to do is you have to maybe say the first application is V1, second application is V2. Then you can have both applications running without having any issues to the end user, and that you can like simply do your migration. The another method is the semantic version. So this is where we use the version numbers to show how big the changes are. Like we can basically keep the old features. We have to maybe even though if we moved into version 2, we still need to have some kind of features in the version 1 or endpoints to be working. So old features can be kept working even as the new ones are added, helping users to switch to the latest version smoothly. And security essentials we talked about very roughly earlier: authentication, authorization, and encryption. So security is crucial, yes, and also when it comes to API development, there are a lot of things that we have to consider, but at least we have to consider these three: authentication, authorization, and encryption. So authentication actually makes only the right user can use the API. So it can be user credentials or something. You have to like sign in, or you have to have a kind of access to use that API. So then you can avoid things happening without like maybe like unauthorized users can't access to these things. Also, authorization, if we have implemented authorization within our APIs, authorizations decides that what each user is allowed to do or see about things. So I think most of the frameworks we use comes within these kind of features like Nest.js, and we can use Express. Those things we can in Node.js frameworks, those I mentioned. Also, when it comes to PHP, also there's a Laravel, Codigno, those kind of frameworks coming inbuilt with these features as well. And the encryption again is also really important. If we are sending or if we are storing some kind of sensitive information through the APIs, I think it can be easily read by the unauthorized people as well. Let's say if someone, if we have not encrypted those information, they can access it in the server side or something like that. So it's very important. We have to decide if there is very sensitive information in our APIs, we have to use some encryption mechanisms as well to encrypt the certain data, encrypt some certain payloads or certain data in the during the transmission. So that will safeguard the users accesses and storage, and also we can use kind of HTTPS, TLS to encrypt communication channels as well. And finally, in this one, also I will talk about a little bit of about using AI for API development. So we all know the AI is becoming more common right now. We know OpenAI, ChatGPT, Google Bard, all those services are coming into the play right now. So it's really important when we talk about future how we can involve AI into our API development. So AI is actually becoming very common in API development at the moment. That means that we can easily, like, we can develop and test. Maybe we can use AI tool to write codes now with using Gen AI tools and something. And we can create documentations for the APIs without any very simply, and also we can test APIs automatically using AI services. So this will speed up the whole process. And also AI at the moment, AI also can understand some kind of user feedback, and also it can make APIs better understanding and helping users. So they, if the generative API, if we have developed something that have for example, if an API is getting failed, and if we are getting, if AI can capture that thing automatically, then they can automatically fix that issue as well. So those are a lot of tools that we can use using AI for the development purposes and of the APIs. You can, I think you will be there will be a lot of content about talking about these things when it comes to PW applications and mobile applications as well. So I think, Dinuka, over to you. You can continue with the web experience and APIs.
Yeah, thank you, Ravindu, for the information you provided about the API. Now I'm going to explain about integration of the GraphQL and Gen API to the progressive web applications. Before moving to the let's move into the talking about the Gen API and GraphQL integration. Let's initially talk about what is progressive web application is. Let's move to the next slide. So, what is progressive web app? Progressive web app is a type of a web application. It utilizes modern web technology to provide user experience similar to the native mobile applications. These progressive web applications support offline features and push notifications when application is inactive in the homepage. So you also receive in this push notification like in the native mobile application. So this progressive web applications tries to give native feelings like in the native mobile applications. So let's move to the next slide, and we'll talk about the process of the progressive web application. As shown in the diagram, initially progressive web application calling for the service worker, and it check device is online or offline. If the device is offline, it call for the offline cache. And if device is online, it calling for the backend and retrieve response from the server, and retrieve data to the user. So basically, this is the general scope of the process, and I just need to give you a simple idea about this progressive web application. So now let's talk about the integration of the progressive web application with Gen AI and GraphQL. So we can move to the next slide. So, and I need to mention in here, I'm not going to talk about in detail about the integration, but here I'll give you a brief idea about the integration of the Gen AI and GraphQL. So initially, let's talk about integrating GraphQL with progressive web applications. So before that, let's have a look what is the GraphQL. Ravindu already explained about the GraphQL, but again in here, I'll give you a brief idea about GraphQL since we are going to talk about integration part in here. The GraphQL is a query language for the APIs and it's developed by Facebook. It provided more efficient, powerful, and flexible alternative to the traditional REST API. So this is a brief idea about GraphQL, and now let's talk about how we can integrate GraphQL into progressive web applications. First, we have to set up GraphQL server. For that, we have to establish GraphQL server as a backend for progressive web applications. To initiate that, we can use popular establishment servers like Apollo servers or Graph Yoga to initiate our server to do our activities. Think now that we have created our server, then we have to define our scheme. If I further explain, in GraphQL, schemes defines the structure of the data that can be queried and manipulated. It serves as a contract between client and the server, specifying what operations can be performed and what data can be retrieved. When it comes to the GraphQL scheme, there are three main components that we can talk about. One is types, queries, and mutations. So let's have a look in deep about these three types components. First, the type. Types defines the shape of the data available in the API. These can be scalar types, as example, strings, int, boolean, or complex types like object, interfaces, enums, unions, likewise. So actually, types represent the structure of the data that can be queried. Then we can talk about queries. Queries define the operations that can be performed to retrieve data from the server. They specify the fields and type of the data that client can request. Then we can talk about the mutation. The mutation can be defined as operations that can be performed to modify data of the server. They specify the input parameters and return type for the operations such as creating, updating, and deleting the data. So now think that we have established GraphQL server and schemes in our integration. Now we have to do our client-side integration. So when we talk about client-side integration, we can utilize GraphQL client libraries like Apollo clients or Relay in progressive web applications to send GraphQL queries to the server and mutation to the server. If I explain more about client-side integration, client-side integrations in the GraphQL, it involves incorporating GraphQLs into client applications to fetch and manage data from the server. Let's briefly talk about this implementation now. So initially, we have to set up our servers. So integrating GraphQL client library into our client application. So we have GraphQL client libraries like Apollo, Relay, and URQL. These libraries provide utilized to send queries and mutations to the GraphQL servers and handle response. Then we have to define GraphQL queries and mutations in our client-side application to request data you need from the server. Then we have to use GraphQL client library to send queries, and then the client libraries typically handle network requests and manage response data, which is come from the servers and the sent from the application. Then this is the process of the integration part of the GraphQL to the progressive web application. Then, as usual, we have to handle responses which is coming from the GraphQL, and we need to display it in the progressive web application in the UI. So once we receive this data from the server, we can display it on the application which we have created. So overall, client-side integration in the GraphQL involves leveraging the GraphQL client libraries to interact with GraphQL servers. So fetch data efficiently and manage responses efficiently to build responsive client application by using this kind of process. After all of these development and integration done, now we can fetch data from the GraphQL. For that, we can use GraphQL queries to fetch data from the server. Client can request only the specific data they actually needed. By using this GraphQL, it can improve performance of the application because we are sending only the specific query to the server and we are retrieving data actually what we needed, not the bulk of data. So, so this is the basic idea about integration of the GraphQL to the progressive web application. So now let's talk about the benefit of this integration. By using this GraphQL, it reduces network request by fetching the only required data. So as I mentioned, we are not receiving bulk of data. We only requesting some kind of specific data and we only retrieve the response what we want. So then strongly typed schemes provide better documentation and type required data. So the other benefit is this is enable rapid development by allowing front-end developers to request data structure they needed when they using the GraphQL. So we have talked about how we can integrate GraphQL with the progressive web applications, and now we can talk about how we can use Gen AI with progressive web applications. So what is Gen AI? Gen AI is a Gen AI we can refers to a generic AI solution, various AI capabilities like natural language processing, image recognition, recommendation systems, and so on. These services are typically offered through the APIs provided by AI platforms like OpenAI, Google Cloud AI, Microsoft AI, Edge AI. Likewise, there are providers we can find. So when it comes to the integration of this Gen AI with our progressive web application, we need to follow some steps. So let's have a look. What are the steps that we can follow to use this Gen AI? First thing first, we had to pick up right smart AI tool for our application. I think Ravindu, let's move the slide as well. So for example, if we want our app to understand and work with the text, there are cool tools like OpenAI GPT or Google Bird that can help with that. That means these tools are likely super smart assistants for understanding the language. To make our app smarter and more helpful, we'll connect to some special AI tools through APIs. These tools can understand text recognition, images, and even make recommendations based on what they learn. So here, let's talk about how it works. To connect Gen API with the progressive web app, we need to follow some steps. First, we need to create or integrate the Gen AI model into our backend infrastructure. Gen AI is a large language model developed by OpenAI. So we can use this OpenAI's API to interact with the Gen AI. If we are integrate Gen AI into our backend, we'll need to set up the necessary APIs endpoints to communicate with Gen AI. So the next part is to develop our progressive web applications using modern web technologies such as HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, ensuring that our progressive web app is designed to responsive, fast, and capable of working offline. So then we have to integrate once we are done with the implementation of progressive web applications. We have our Gen AI integrated setup. We'll need to integrate it into our progressive web application. This involves make API requests to our backend, which communicate with GenAI from the progressive web app to fetch responses from the generated by GenAI. Then we have to determine how we want to incorporate GenAI into our progressive web application. This could involve providing a text input field where users can type their queries or prompt, and then sending this input to the backend, which is turned sent to the GenAI, and we can retrieve data from there. Then we once our progressive web application receive the response from the GenAI, we'll need to display it in the to the users in a meaningful way with our progressive interface. So then we can do our error handling once we using error handling like in the other applications, we can do like that. Then the testing and the optimization, and we can do a deployment once we integrate this Gen AI and with the progressive web application. So following this step, you can connect Gen AI with your progressive web app by leveraging its capabilities to enhance the functionalities and user experience of the application more than creating a simple application and delivering it to the client. So we can integrate GraphQL, Gen API to understand and algorithms. So we can simply integrate this kind of smart tools to our applications, and we can deliver it to the user. That would be very helpful to for the organizations and for the business. So, okay, I think that I already explained about integration part of the Gen AI and the GraphQL. So we can move to the next slide. In that slide, we can talk about the modern JavaScript frameworks with how it works with the Gen AI and the GraphQL. So, modern JavaScript frameworks can be used alongside with the generic AI and the GraphQL to create powerful and intelligent web applications. I will give you a brief idea about some popular frameworks that which we can be used GraphQL and the Gen API. First, let's talk about React. So all you aware about React. React is a JavaScript framework and the JavaScript library for making user interfaces. It's popular because it easy to split up your app into small parts called components, because this React is following a component-based architecture. So React can easily work with GenAI and the GraphQL, a way to get data from the server. You just need to add some extra tools like Apollo client for GraphQL and some other tools to talk to the Gen AI. It is simple to handle the data and update what you see on the screen when you are using the Gen AI and the GraphQL. So then we can talk about the Vue.js. Vue.js is also a JavaScript framework for making website in easy way. It is very flexible, just like React. Vue.js can also talk to the Gen AI and the GraphQL. You can use the same tools, Apollo client, GraphQL, and also Axios for all Gen AI stuff. Vue is just a really good at updating what you see on the screen when you get new informations from the generic AI and the GraphQL. Then we can talk about Angular. Angular is another JavaScript framework made by Google. It used for making websites for different devices like computers, phones, and the tablets. So Angular can also talk to Gen AI and also can use GraphQL. So we just need to use Apollo Angular for the GraphQL and Angular built-in. There are built-in tools in the Angular to call Gen AI. So Angular helps with keeping everything organized, especially when you are getting data from the Gen AI and GraphQL. It is a very organized JavaScript framework in this well, so we can talk about next is Next.js. It is similar to React, but Next.js is a special way of using React that helps make website load really fast. Uh, it's great to making website where you want things to happen quickly. So Next.js works just like React, but it's even better for getting data from the Gen API and Gen AI and the GraphQL. It helps with loading data and showing it to the screen super fast. So these frameworks provide robust ecosystem for building modern web applications and can leverage capabilities of Gen AI and GraphQL to create intelligent and interactive user experience for the user. So GraphQL we can move on to the next slide. In the next slide, I will explain how we can build SEO friendly single page application by using AI integrations and how to perform SEO over there. So building a SEO friendly single page application with AI integration involves a combination best practices for modern JavaScript frameworks and leveraging the AI capabilities to enhance SEO performance. So in here, let's talk about how we can improve the SEO performance using AIs and how we can improve the SEO more than using we are using a better way. So let's talk about first we have to select a modern JavaScript framework that support server-side rendering (SSR) a static site generation, which called SSG, for better SEO performance. As example, framework like Next.js, Nuxt for Vue, and Angular Universe for Angular provided built-in SSR capabilities. Then we have to ensure content in relevant, high quality and optimized for the targeted keywords. We can use AI-powered content analysis tools to identify keywords and optimize content accordingly. So we can simply use structure. We can simply structure the content logically using proper markup language like headers, paragraph, underline structure. So to help search engines to understand the hierarchy and the context of your content. So then we can go with the dynamic metadata. So we can generate dynamic metadata like title tags, meta descriptions, OG tags based on the content of the each page that we are using in our applications. So we can use AI tool to generate compelling and optimize metadata that improves clicks through the rates and search engine visibility. So we can use artificial intelligence to optimize this SEO by using these kind of tags. So load time optimization. We can ensure fast load time by optimizing assets, lazy loading, non-essential content, and leveraging the caching strategies. We can use AI-powered performance analysis tools to identify and address performance bottlenecks. So then we can talk about the mobile responsiveness. So we can design single page applications to be mobile responsive for better user experience and SEO rankings. We can use AI-driven testing tools to simulate various mobile devices and screen sizes to ensure compatibility and usability. So the next one is optimize navigation and internal linking. So in here, we can create a clear and inactive navigation structure with internal linking to help users to search and in the search engines to discover and navigate our single page application content. We can use AI tools for this, like AI analysis tools to analyze user behaviors, and we can optimize navigation path by using this analysis outputs. So AI powered SEO analysis to optimization. we can utilize AI-powered SEO analysis tools to identify optimization opportunities, monitoring keywords, rankings, and track search engine optimization performance matrices. These tools can provide actionable insight to improve our single page application search engine in the search engine's visibility. That means if we get the output from the AIs, and we can improve our applications to rank up from the SEOs. So, by following these best practices and integration AI capabilities to our search engine optimization strategy, we can build single page applications that are not only user friendly but also optimized for the search engine visibility and ranking up performance. So, once we ranking up this performance and the search engines, we can initiate our applications to visible in the first step of the initial loading of whatever we want. So that's I think that you got the basic idea about integration, the GraphQL and the JI integration with the progressive web application, and some kind of the frameworks that can be used with the Gen AI and the GraphQL. And also get I think that get some basic understanding about SEO friendly single application by using a Gen AI. So likewise, I hope you get a brief idea. So Navoda, over to you to continue your presentation. Navoda, I think you are.
Okay. Hi, good evening, everyone. Thanks to Dinuka and Ravindu. I think we have got a good idea about future-proof APIs and how they are working and their usage. But let's not forget about our mobile devices, right? They are the closest tech we have got in our pockets. So what about them? How these future-proof APIs make our apps work better today and keep them ready for whatever comes next. So, when we are talking about integrating future-proof APIs for the mobile applications, there are three things we need to consider mainly. So one is performance and the battery life optimization, and the other one is offline support. Another important thing is deep linking. So let's move on to the next slide and talk about how we use future-proof APIs to enhance our performance and battery life. Uh, Ravindu, let's go to the next slide. Okay. So when we are considering APIs for the mobile applications, I think performance and battery life are paramount, because users nowadays accept swift responses and minimal battery drain from the mobile applications, including you and me, so throughout the day. So to address these expectations, we can focus on developing lightweight APIs. So achieve these acceptations, we can do several things. One thing is we can compress our responses, and we can also stripping out unnecessary data from the responses. That means we can only send whatever the data that mobile app asks. And also another thing we can do is batching requests. It means without sending multiple calls the to the server, we can integrate them into one API call and get the data. So it will reduce the network sessions, which means it will lead into a extending battery life. So, and also as Dinuka and Ravidu explained, we can use efficient protocols like GraphQL and gRPC. I think you have got a good idea about them, but let's check how they help us to get a good mobile app experiences. So gRPC and GraphQL GraphQL allows a client to request exactly what they need, nothing more, nothing less, by reducing size of the responses. And gRPC uses HTTP2 features like stream multiplexing, which can help give, which can help to make multiple requests in parallel without extra network calls. So it will reduce the latency and it will help to conserve our battery life. So one great example for this one is Netflix. It uses gRPC for the backend services due to its performance behavior benefits. So which indirectly benefits mobile app users by requiring less processing and conserving battery life. So let's move to the next slide to talk about how offline support is crucial in the mobile app experience when we integrate in future-proof APIs. So I think Dinuka has explained this offline support strategies when he talked about PWA web app. So let's check what are the caching techniques we can use in mobile when we integrating APIs to the mobile apps. So we can leverage conditional GET requests, which utilize e tags to determine the content has changed, whether content has changed since the last fetch. So this means that we only download the data when it's truly necessary. So helps conserve the bandwidth and reduces the load times. And also additionally, we can also do another thing. We can use local storage for the our mobile app. So we that ensure that user can continue to use the app without waiting for the data to load and refresh. So another good example for these offline strategies are Spotify and Google Maps. I think you are using Spotify. So it as you know, it helps it we can download songs playlist when we have internet, and then we can hear them when there's no internet connections. And also Google Maps, we can download the map for the certain area, then we can without internet connection we can navigate to that certain area without using internet connection. So let's move into the next slide to talk about what are the deep links mean. So deep link feature also enable users to jump directly into the specific page or section within the app. So this approach respects the user time intention, and it will lead into the significantly improved user experience. So when we talk about inter-app communication, our APIs need to facilitate this communication seamlessly. So this capability ensures that user can use the app operate the app in connected ecosystem, exchanging data and the triggering actions across the different apps without any problems. And universal links provide a unified link experience. That means it can work across the web and the mobile apps. So this means links can open on the web page on desktop and the corresponding content in the mobile app on a smartphone. So there are I have given two major examples, that's Twitter and LinkedIn. They also use deep linking. Twitter use deep link to allows links to tweets, profiles and movements open directly when app is installed. And also LinkedIn utilize deep linking for job postings, profiles and articles. Okay. Let's move into the next slide and check what is the role in future-proof APIs in cross-platform mobile development, and how we maintain the API consistency across the platforms. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Ravindu, can you go next? Yes, thank you. In the pursuit of creating a robust and enduring mobile application, the strategic selection of a development framework is crucial. So today we know there are few cross-platform frameworks. One is Flutter, and this one is React Native and Xamarin. These three leading cross-platform frameworks that stand at the forefront of the future-proof mobile development. So each of these frameworks allow us to, it's the very important thing, maintain a singular code base while deploying multiple platforms. So we can push updates and maintain our apps more efficiently. Let's go to the next slide and talk about what's the API consistency mean. So in our mission to craft future-proof mobile applications, we need to talk about API consistency because we are talking about the delivering same functionality with the same high quality, no matter where the API accessed from. So it can be the Android smartphone, iOS device, or web browser. So even emerging platform like smartwatches or IoT device. So to achieve this, we can do several things. One thing is we can implement abstract layer within our APIs. So these layers serves a bridge between the front end and the complex operations happening in the background. So which ensure the user experience remain consistency even as the underlying technology evolves. So furthermore, we can emphasize the standardization of protocols and data formats by adhering to universally accepted protocols like HTTP2 and data formats like JSON, XML. We can ensure that our APIs can communicate efficiently, reliability, and regardless of the platform. Okay, let's move on to the next slide and talk about the importance of the API gateways when come to future-proof APIs. I think Ravindu has explained about what's the API gateway and all things. So I will give two examples in API gateways. One is AWS and other one is WSO21. So if we take the AWS API gateway, for instance, it manages services that allow developers to define the HTTP endpoints for their app and connect them to services like AWS Lambda. So it's having like a highly skilled traffic controller that ensuring every request is handled smoothly and scales automatically to accommodate heavy traffic. So all while it's providing the performance as well. So on other hand, WSO2 API gateway, it offers open source approach that giving businesses the flexibility to the handle API traffic with customizable policies, security checks, and the ability to connect with various backend services. So it's like a versatile conductor orchestrating the flow of data across a range of services while ensuring that each node hits the right pitch in the terms of security and efficiency. So both of these gateways plays a pivotal role in centralizing requests and enforcing policies and also enabling the rapid integration of new technologies and practices. So they are just not tools, but strategic, I think, strategic assets in building a future-proof APIs. So which are ready to adapt to the next wave of digital innovations. So let's move to the next slide and let's talk about how we can prepare for the future with these APIs. So when we talk about future, there's always augmented reality, virtual reality, and artificial intelligence. So integrate that augmented reality and VR or AI into the mobile applications So API must be capable of processing high bandwidth data streams and complex computational tasks. For AR and VR, this means we should design APIs that quickly transmit sensor and image data to the servers for real-time processing and response. So when in AI integration, API should be able to interface with machine learning models for tasks such as predictive analytics, natural language processing, NLP, and image processing, such tasks. So when we talk about IoT and wearable technologies, so APIs for IoT and wearable devices focus on lightweight communications protocols like MQTT Core, which means they handle the constrained computing environments and sometimes intermittent connectivity of such devices. So they also must manage the real-time data streams and support various communication patterns, including device to cloud, cloud to device, and device to device interactions. So when we talk about future-proof APIs designed for the future, we should keep adaptability in our mind. So to which mean we're ready to serve emergent device categories. So you know there are a lot of devices, mobile devices come to the market. So we need to create APIs that can be adapted to those devices. So this means we should follow standards and allow the cross-device compatibility, such as adopting RESTful principles for interoperability or exploring more dynamic query process approaches like GraphQL or greater flexibility. So I think you have got a good idea about what is the importance in future-proof APIs in mobile experience. Over to the Ravindu conclude the presentation.
Okay. I think you have went through a lot of content here in this presentation. Thank you, Dinuka, and thank you, Navoda. So just to conclude this thing, I think we have also exceeded our meeting time now, but I think thank you for everyone to come and stay in the call until now. So I think you have got some kind of idea about what is an API and what are the things that we have do to design and develop future-proof APIs. So in conclusion, we have navigated the landscape of API development. It's clear that embracing future-proof strategies is paramount. RESTful APIs offer simplicity and familiarity, while GraphQL kind of queries provide flexibility and efficiency in data retrieval. We also talked in depth about gRPC, WebSocket, how they can offer us to like develop and design innovative solutions like real-time communication and bi-direction stream respectively. We also discuss about how we can leverage the modern day AI technologies to streamline development processes and enhance user experiences, also the developer experiences. So we talked about integration, progressive web applications, mobile platforms with APIs, accessibility. We talked about scalability. So looking ahead, APIs will continue to evolve to meet the demands of emerging technologies, as you can see now. So, for example, as now the said, augmented reality, virtual reality, these AI-driven approaches. So we have to embrace all these advancement, and we have to adapt in a forward-thinking process and come up with new strategies to develop our API strategies. I think that will be helpful for your organization and as a developer or as a team to you can stay agile and you can innovate rapidly and deliver exceptional user experiences in ever evolving digital landscape. I think with this we can conclude our today's session. As I earlier said, thank you everyone to uh, participate in this.
Thank you, Ravindu, Navoda, and Dinuka for that insightful session. I'm sure we have gained valuable insights into this dynamic field. Now let's open the floor for a Q&A session. Feel free to drop your questions in the chat and the speakers will answer them shortly. I will just give around 2 minutes for everyone if you have any questions. Okay, so there seems to be no questions. So we can conclude this session. So before we conclude the session, I want to say a big thank you to our speakers today for their sharing their expertise with us. And we appreciate your time and knowledge. And thanks to all who attended this session. Looking forward to seeing you at our future podium sessions as well. And yes, have a great day.